And we're live.
Right.
We're live.
Hey, Adam, I think you're on mute.
I think it's so smooth, so smooth.
So big day this weekend coming up. Not only are the Red Wolves playing at home, but it is a day celebrating the fathers, of which all three of us are fathers.
Soccer daddies.
What plans you got? What are you doing? What's going on? What are you doing this weekend?
My plans are pretty obvious, I feel, because the combination of two things. I am a Red Wolves fan, and I'm cheap, and I've already paid for season tickets. So my plans for Father's Day were set by the Red Wolves.
You don't have your family doing anything for you on Saturday?
No. They wouldn't even if I wanted them to, let's be honest.
Soccer chat with 2 T's, because we're going to chat about soccer, but we're also in Chattanooga, so it's like a play on words. And Chattanooga is a soccer city.
I just realized my picture in the intro. I look so sad. I don't even know why. That's from a game that we won.
I know, and you were sitting next to me, so I need new pictures, and I'll update those.
Well,
next to you.
Frishy fresh pictures. Yeah.
So I believe we've got a tidbit about sitting next to Jeff from the Lady Red Wolves game that might need to be mentioned, that might affect why you were so sad. So I'm sitting behind Jeff and his lovely wife Beth, and they're sitting next to each other, and the very first time he yells anything, she stands up and moves over. She's like, nope, can't handle this. Too close.
She doesn't want anyone to know that we're together, even though she's in all the videos with me. So she had a issue with her ear. Her inner ear was replaced. It's the smallest bone in the body, and so really loud noises actually cause her physical pain. That's the reason why we're not in the supporter section this year as opposed to last, even though we didn't have full capacity. But the drums hurt her eardrums, and so sometimes I'm a bit much. But the irony is later in that game, I have video of her screaming her head off over because she gets really passionate about, especially about the Lady Red Wolves. She's really pumped up about it.
I only cause my wife physical pain because I'm kind of an annoying human being. But welcome to Soccer Chat. Intro 2. This is Season 3, Episode 10. We're going to be joined shortly by Red Wolves forward Blake Frischneck. But before we do that, let's have some League One hot takes. Of course, we had some midweek action yesterday. Greenville. Our next 2 opponents played each other, Greenville and North Carolina FC, and Greenville came away with a 2-1 victory. Toronto and Fort Lauderdale, who are going to play each other 17 times in the next 4 days, had a 2-2 draw. And there's been some fun, I don't know, you'd call it drama with the table, but we finally got someone to put out a points per game table that we've been talking about.
Oh, and I moved away from it here. So here we go.
No goodness.
Yes. So what we have here, well, actually, let's pull back here. Here's the regular standings USL puts out. And we are at 13 points out of 4 matches. I'm sorry, out of 6 matches. We're in 4th place. That's just based on the points. And that's not too bad. And we're within 3 from Greenville and within 4 from the top. But when you look at points per game, and this has to do with how many games we've played, us and Greenville have played a bit less. We realize that we're sit at 2.17 points per game. Greenville ahead of us at 2.29 a game, and Omaha's just right neck to neck with us at 2.13. But I think the thing that kind of is irritating is that Fort Lauderdale is just ahead of us on points, but they've played 5 more games than us,
and lost all of them.
Yeah.
And it's not even Fort Lauderdale. Like when you start looking at like other things that the league puts out, like whether it be power rankings or mid-season or third season or whatever that report was of grades, they're giving Richmond Kickers like a really high number, and it's like their points per game is 1.38. there are 6 other teams above them, or 5 other teams above them. They're in 6th place when it comes to points per game. It doesn't make sense to me. They've lost head-to-head with the Red Wolves. They've have a lower points per game. Like, I get that you've got to grade them on who they've played and some of that. And we haven't played Omaha. We haven't played Greenville. But we also haven't played North Carolina FC, right? We haven't played the worst team in the league that has so far had a draw in 6 games. So
when I look at this, for the USL puts out as far as for their power rankings, I've always read this as how they perceive the current momentum. And it's not so much, so basically how is this week's team doing compared? And you do adjust and up. And of course, you have to move up and down. So I think it is arbitrary by nature. But it's kind of going like, okay, what direction are we moving? We're moving up. They've not improved, but they've not gotten worse. I think that's what they're saying.
I think, but Jeff, even if that's what they were saying, then that doesn't explain why South Georgia Tormenta is not currently sitting in 1st or 2nd, because they've won 3 straight games.
That's
right.
True.
And they've looked good in those 3 games, and I think that's something that you can kind of point towards is they've kind of turned around. Yet they're sitting 7th, and you've got a team like Fort Lauderdale who have lost more games than they've won, which is the same as South Georgia, but they also haven't exactly been a powerhouse the last few weeks, right? So it doesn't make a ton of sense when you've got granted they wouldn't have the last draw, but 2 of the 4 games were either a loss and one was a draw when this came out for those rankings. It just doesn't make sense. And that's why points per game really does matter this early in the season, because of the tiered start that everyone had, the weird Greenville 2-week layoff, which I still don't understand why that happened. Things like that are affecting how many games teams have played.
Yeah, well, it's one of those weird kind of stats. Again, it's very arbitrary, and it ultimately doesn't really matter. But I do agree. I think the points per game is the best measurement for seeing how a team is likely to end up. And as we get further along, I think it's going to be a little clearer.
The power rankings are definitely just content that gets people discussing in the week, and we fall into the trap every week because
I feel like because
we talk about it
because Alex hates it so much, I want to talk about it every week.
There we go.
So talking about something that's actually more concrete and real, does anyone know why Greenville had from May 22nd to June 13th between games? Like, why did they have that massive break? Does anyone know? Was there a reason given?
I don't know. I think it's just knowing from us, the fact is that there could be so many external factors as far as for when you're available. They don't own their stadium; they borrow their stadium, so it could be
maybe they had graduation one weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a possibility, but like in an 11-day span from June 16th to June 26th, which I guess that's 11. Is that 11 or 10? I don't know. I always mess it up. They play 4 games, yet they went from May 23rd to June 12th playing none. Like, that's just doesn't make sense to me. And I get that there's that external scheduling, but why would you not try to schedule them an away game during that time? Like, seems like they figured out a way to make it so that Orlando City B, Toronto 2, plays 3 games straight versus Fort Lauderdale. So why couldn't they figure a way to get Toronto B a chance to play at home in Orlando?
It's a strange quirk in the way that all of that stuff goes into the software and all the different parameters that they have to put in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's odd. I will grant you that. I think what it also speaks to is it's been our schedule actually turned out great in that we've got a regular week by week. I think there's a couple of times where we have an off week. There's only like 3 or 4 midweek games. So it's a very regular schedule that we have. And I think that's going to help us going on. We're going to have ourselves in a rhythm. You look at Greenville coming back from that 2-week layoff, and what happened? They got beat. They came out flat and got beat 3-0 by a North Texas squad that they had already beaten by a significant margin earlier in the season. So the fact that we get to go through the season and not have that big layoff, I think that's going to be huge for us going through the year.
Yeah.
And looking at our schedule, current state, maybe there could be a possibility of a change. Our longest layoff is a Saturday to a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happening in late July into early August, which if you have to pick a time that you want to have a longer layoff, it's in the heat of summer.
Yeah.
So you're right. Our schedule really cleaned up nicely for us.
Yeah, one thing I want to kind of pull back to, we talked about things that happened this past week in USL. You did mention, yes, Greenville did have the 2-1 win against North Carolina, but USL 1 Twitter was losing it because for a while there, North Carolina was up 1-0 against Greenville, and everyone thought the apocalypse was about to happen. But I bring that out to showing that anyone is vulnerable and anyone is able to have a good day and anyone's able to have a bad day. So I think right now we're kind of in our rhythm and it's to our advantage, but we can't guarantee anything.
I would also like to say the article with the quarter season grades, if you haven't had a chance to look at that, it's another one of those discussion type articles, putting out content to get people talking. But Chattanooga Red Wolves, basically the Red Wolves and Union Omaha, the only two to receive an A in that report. What do you guys think? Do you think it was a fair assessment of the Red Wolves? Would you give them as an A as well?
No, I'm not giving an A for that because I feel like if we had won the Tormenta game, yeah, but I don't see how you can get the highest grade that they gave out and lost a game to a team that at the time was 1-5. Even away, I think that takes you down to at least an A- because I think if you were to ask Coach Obleda, he would say that we lost that game, they didn't win it. And so that's the only reason I would say I don't know about the A. And also winning 3 games by heartbreak is both exciting and scary for fans. But at the same time, I don't feel comfortable. That's not an A. An A is you won 3-1, you put it away, you had a relaxing, consistent victory. So I give us a B or B+ at best.
I'm leaning more towards an A-. I think we've had a really good start. I do think the Tormenta game does stick out. The reason why I still see it in the A's is the fact that we've shown the ability to turn draws into wins and just kind of muster out. It's not pretty, but we've been able to just find that fight in us to push it over the line. And that's why I think it's still an A, but probably an A-.
Yeah, I would say looking at our games, the fact that we haven't had any dominant performances, I might put us in kind of the B+ range, but bump that up to an A- because when you look at the results, we're getting the 3 points, and that's why you play the games, is for that final outcome. It's not just about those performances. And so, I would say it's a A- just to give room to grow, because this team has not cruised to victories, but it really hasn't played its best game yet. There's, what we think is probably the best offseason signing hasn't played a game yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have him back soon. And a couple other guys as well who are kind of working their way back from injury and things. So
is it too much to ask for them to stop putting him in social media pictures and practicing and then not have him on the team sheet? It's killing me.
Poor Adam can't take the tease anymore, guys.
I really can't. I'm like, sweet. They showed Rafa. That means they're showing us that he's going to be in this game. And then the team sheet comes out, and I'm like, he's not even on the bench.
He's a very charismatic guy, and I do hope once he's in playing with us that the local news gets him on, because he's gonna. And I can't wait to get him on our show. I think he's one that people are going to fall in love with, and so again, he's probably one of the ones was most excited that we signed. Can't wait to see him don the shirt, and I'm hoping it's soon.
If I had thighs like his, then I would be making sure I got myself on social media as well. But our one of our listeners, Brandon O, was talking in our
Brandon O.
Our
Sorry, that was wrong.
That's all right. Our fan
Brandon.
chat, he was talking about the fact that the lineup this last weekend was very late being released, and it almost made you wonder if there was maybe a game time decision, if he was going through warm-ups and they were thinking, okay, maybe he's ready, and they finally were like, I think we're good with the guys we have, and we'll give him a little extra time. We'll let him make his debut at home sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
saying all of these with hopeful
Sunday
in my voice.
A good Father's Day present. Well, I wondered the same thing, is if he was like maybe close. If we had to play him, we could, but if we didn't have to, let's just keep him off. So I was thinking the same thing. So yeah, this would be a great Father's Day present. So.
I will say, though, it's looking like there's a good chance of rain, and even if it's not raining at game time, it's supposed to rain earlier in the day at least, which can create a pretty slippery pitch on the artificial surface, along with being a muscle injury. I don't know that you're going to take that risk necessarily, so I would be surprised to see him this Sunday. And if we do see him, it's going to be on the bench. I don't think you're going to see him start right away. So, but yeah, it would be great to see him out there, because I do think he could be that difference maker that takes this great buildup that we've consistently had and puts it into the net more often.
So you say artificial turf. I think what you mean is real awesome turf. And but I will note that the only loss that we had was against South Georgia Tormenta, and it was Tormenta. At that game, it was a slosh fest, and so I hope that doesn't bring us a repeat. Our guys are fine playing wet, but I still hope that by being home, we're undefeated at home, and we're hoping that's going to continue.
All right, so I believe, and we kind of mentioned this on social media, that we are being joined by Red Wolves player, I believe it's pronounced Balake, for Rishnik. And so without further ado,
Blake!
What's up,
How are
guys?
you doing?
How's it going?
We're doing well. We're doing well. Good to have you on the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Folks, definitely, if you're watching live, go into the chat, send us some questions for Blake. But we'll kind of get things started, Blake. One of the things that I've noticed when we're at the games and when I'm going through social media, just kind of observing you guys on the bench, as a fan, it's not creepy, I promise.
It's totally creepy. It's totally creepy.
I've noticed kind of a connection between you and Juan Galindrez. The two of you are, obviously from very different backgrounds. You guys are in competition with each other for that, that forward spot, playing the number 9 role. How is that friendship formed, and how do you guys help each other as you compete against each other?
Honestly, it's been quite interesting to develop this relationship so quickly. I spent a few years of my life in South America, so I was able to learn Spanish, and Juan doesn't speak much English. So I feel like that in itself has been a big bond, because in training, lots of times Juan and I are right next to each other because we're playing the same position, and as the drill's being explained in English or in Spanglish, as it sometimes happens in training, I'm kind of filling in the gaps for Juan, and yeah, I mean, we've both been working hard together through the preseason, beginning of the season. We've been able to, develop a good friendship.
So to follow up with that, I feel like our team has mostly Spanish speakers as the majority. Who on the team is the worst Spanish speaker, and how often are you guys making fun of him? That's what I'm really interested in.
To be fair, I am probably the worst Spanish speaker because I'm the only non-native. Ricketts tries, and we love and appreciate him for that. He tries, and it's great. His Spanish is very limited, very basic. You can tell he took some in school.
Does he keep asking where the bathroom is? ¿Dónde está el...
Yeah, basically. He'll chime in and he'll say things here and there, as we're in conversation. But yeah, I'd say the vast majority of the team speaks Spanish, and it's pretty crazy and pretty rare, honestly, for a team here, especially in Tennessee of all places.
And the rest of them speak Portuguese. So
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got two
yeah,
Brazilians.
yeah, Danny, Walefi, and Rafa are Brazilian, speak Portuguese, but they've also been in the States for a few years and had to develop some Spanish skills. So it's mostly in Spanish.
It's all very amazing. The three of us barely speak English, so
True story. I also enjoy that when the coach is really angry on the sidelines, it's 100% in Spanish what he's yelling out.
And we really should not have a translation for the children's sake. So
No, I think that's done with a purpose.
So what do you? All right.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, speaking about Coach, what do you think of his style? And has his approach been something you faced before, or is he challenging you in a different way?
I'm being challenged in a very different way than I really ever have been in my life. I had a coach in college who was also very intense and pushed us hard, but Obleda ball it's so different. It's been a massive adjustment for me. I've never had to defend at this level or this intensity in my life. So the entire style's been an adjustment. The coaching style's been an adjustment. But for me personally, I think it's something that I need. I need to be pushed if I want to get better. And so, I'm taking it in stride and trying to learn as much as I can and, play well out on the pitch.
So you guys have a big game coming on Father's Day against North Carolina FC, a team that has kind of scuffled, but you definitely don't want to look past because they've played everyone that they've played close. So what are kind of the keys that they're talking to you about as you guys approach this game on Sunday?
It's tough with a team like North Carolina, at least from what I've watched in their games, is that they're a good team and they have some very, very good players individually, but they're young. So it's a team that you could go out and beat 3-0, or it's a team that could stick around in a game and maybe nick a result here and there. I think they've been unlucky, but to them, they're so young. Like, it's almost a benefit for them because they just don't know. They go out and play, and they have that. It's almost ignorance is bliss. They go out and play their game every week, and, it hasn't resulted in positive results so far, but they've been very, very close.
So the league has referred to our team as the Cardiac Red Wolves, and for our propensity to score those late goals and change it around at the last moment. How has that impacted the side and maybe their attitude of going into the game? Oh, he can't speak. We're being censored. So there we go.
I think we got you now.
I think we see you there.
We have made our life very difficult. This past weekend in Tucson, we dominated the match up 2-0 at halftime. Could have been 3 or 4-0 at halftime, if not early in the second half. Kind of similar to the Richmond game. We dominate the Richmond game. We give up a dumb goal early in the second half, and we had to, pull out the 3 points there. But I feel like the fact that we're getting these points early in the season is a good sign because we can correct these mental lapses. We can grow and mature as a team, and hopefully these games, instead of going 2-2, we get the third goal, we're up 3-0, and then from there, it's a very, very different game. So I think it's tough. We've made our life difficult, but the fact that we've gotten results from these games is a big positive.
So how does that build the confidence, knowing as you get towards the end of the year and we're fighting for a home playoff game or for playoff position? How does the fact that you guys know you can grind out these wins, how does that give you guys confidence?
It's a huge confidence boost. When we gave up the second goal this past weekend, to be honest, I really wasn't fearing a draw. I knew we would create at least one good chance towards the end of the match that could, take us home with the 3 points. And having these situations come around now, we're making it tough on ourselves, but I think we will be very well prepared for, these big matches that are coming up in the next few weeks, and then obviously later in the season and throughout the playoffs.
So Blake, I'm gonna I'm going to turn this this question a little bit away from directly on the Red Wolves and talk a little bit about your history. So you took 2 years away from the game to go to, you kind of mentioned going to South America as part of I believe part of your church's mission, correct?
Yeah, correct.
How was the adjustment coming back to the States and trying to get back into soccer? How hard was that change?
It was incredibly difficult. I went 2 years without going through a training session. Like, obviously, I was in a soccer playing nation, Argentina. Everyone loves soccer and plays. So I was able to play, in the streets and things like that. But, not working on, skills or my body changed physically. I left at 19, came back at 21. I became a man in some sense. But I wasn't fit. My muscle strength and endurance wasn't at the point where it would need to be to compete in soccer. So coming back was extremely tough. I would say it took me a year and a half to really feel comfortable again on the pitch. It was difficult, but an incredible experience nonetheless.
So you're talking about now when you were in Argentina, you weren't in Buenos Aires. You were in the Pampas, or?
Yeah, so I was in the southern part of the province of Buenos Aires. My
Okay.
mission, as we call it,
Uh-huh.
it covered probably the southern half of the province of Buenos Aires, all of La
Okay.
Pampa, and then going into a little bit of Rio Negro. But yeah, it was a pretty big area.
Yeah, it sounds like a large area.
So
Yeah.
what was it like being in a place where, like, soccer maybe is fifth for a lot of people's hearts in the United States, but there it's clearly one. We've been down to Buenos Aires and we've seen the chocolate box over in Boca, and people in River aren't passionate at all about about their soccer. So what was it like to be in a country where soccer was number one in their hearts? And
It changed my perspective completely about soccer. Growing up in America, it's not one of the most popular sports, and it is elsewhere, but you don't understand what that really means until you live it. We know the NFL and football and the NBA and basketball are big in the United States, but that is nothing compared to the effect and the passion that people have for soccer in South America and in Europe. It's incredible. Everyone watches the national team play if there's a final, especially if there's a Clásico, Boca River, Independiente Racing. Those games everything shuts down because everyone is watching.
So you came back and obviously you've had some success. You've played at multiple levels here in America. You had a season in Las Vegas with the Las Vegas Lights. Did you get to play for Coach Eric Winalda? And if so, what's your best Eric Winalda story?
So I never actually got to play for Eric. I signed with Las Vegas last August coming off of an ACL tear.
Okay.
So in the conference tournament of my senior year of college, I tore my ACL. With the pandemic and everything that happened, it turned out to be a huge blessing for me because soccer stopped and I had those 4 or 5 months extra to do rehab. So Eric brought me to Vegas, but he was let go during the summer while I was still going through my rehab. So when I came back, I was playing for Frank Yallop, also, another legendary coach here in the United States. But I'm from Las Vegas, but Eric brought me there, and Eric and I have developed a pretty close relationship. He's been a great mentor to me. There's I don't know what story I could give you other than I don't know. Eric's such a great guy, unique character. Whenever he finds out I'm in Vegas, because he still lives there, he shoots me a call and we get out to play 9 holes or 18 if we got time. So
fantastic. So guys, mark it down. We can go with Blake and try to get Eric on the podcast.
That's what I heard.
that's what I heard.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
I also heard that if Blake scores against Greenville, it's going to mean a little bit more. But sorry, I had to say it.
You said it. You said it, not me. I'm sure if I score against Greenville, I'll be getting a text from somebody.
So all of your college time was in Utah. You played in Utah. You played in Las Vegas. You played a short stint over in Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it playing here on the east side of the U.S. in the middle of the humid armpit that is Chattanooga? I mean, I love Chattanooga, but the humidity is a bit much. So, other than temperature, what's it like culturally to be playing here as opposed to on the west?
Coming to Chattanooga, I was pretty ignorant about the city and the state in general. I didn't realize how big soccer is here in Tennessee, especially in Chattanooga. There are Red Wolves fans everywhere. My wife's pregnant, and we went to our first doctor's appointment when we got here, and I think 4 nurses came into our little room that we were in during the appointment and said, "Oh my gosh, we love the Red Wolves. My son plays for the Red Wolves Academy. We'll be at the home opener." And that kind of happens kind of everywhere I've been. I'm always wearing Red Wolves gear, and there's a pretty big fan base in the club's short history, which is really, really impressive.
So you mentioned yourself expecting. Congratulations! It's very exciting. One thing that I wanted to ask you is what is the most dad thing that Coach Jimmy Obleda does? My nomination is the outfits that I see him wearing at practice. He looks very much like a dad that was made to volunteer to coach the team. But what's the most dad thing that you see Coach Jimmy Obleda do?
On a serious note, you can tell he does care like a parent. And sometimes as a parent, I haven't had to experience this as a parent. I'm not a parent yet, but with my own parents, sometimes that tough love is very, very effective. And he can be tough, but at the end of the day, he cares about you and wants you to succeed. And I would say that's his fatherly attribute.
So you took the high road there. Just so you know, on our show, you don't need to do that. Actually, you're discouraged when doing that. So just say what you feel.
Well done.
No, that's the first thing that came to mind.
So as we actually head to closing out our interview, Alex is going to give you a quick set of quizzes associated with your upcoming fatherhood. So I'm going to pass it back to Alex so we can get a good closeout here for you.
Okay. Right, Adam, did you have any music? Do we have like Spanish Flea that we could play in the background or anything?
If you had, like, as we've mentioned many a times, you have a terrible producer, and I've done nothing.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay, so Blake, this is just kind of, we'll call it some training, trying to get you ready for being a dad.
Perfect.
When the little one comes. When is that due, by the way? When are you expecting?
August 3rd.
August 3rd. Ooh, fantastic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's well planned. That's right in the 10-day gap for the schedule. So well done.
Yeah. So the due date was August 7th. We were able to swing a nice induction date on August 3rd. So have a little more time there during that gap.
Fantastic. Jeff. Okay, Jeff seems to have found us some game show music. I appreciate that, Jeff. All right, so that's a little loud. Can we get that turned down?
Sorry.
That's all
right. Mariachi. It's mariachi. So.
Okay, so you're watching the kid. Kid decides they're hungry. They say, "Daddy, I'm hungry." What do you tell them?
Oh, well, I can tell you what my dad or my stepdad would have said to me as a kid, and that would have been, "Hi, hungry, I'm dead."
Very good.
Yes.
One for one so far.
One for one. Yes.
You're so you got the family over having a Father's Day cookout. You got the tray of burgers. You're heading to the grill, and you pick up the tongs. What's the first thing you do?
Well done.
Twice. There you go.
2 for 2.
Of course.
This guy seems ready. This is good. Okay, so you're at the register, and the cashier's trying to ring stuff up, and they can't seem to get it to scan. What do you say?
You could probably just forget about that one. Just slide that in the bag.
See, we were going for. Oh, I guess it's free then.
Oh, there you go.
You're close.
Idea.
You're going to use that more than you realize.
Still at the register, they ring stuff up, and they tell you that the total is $19.74. What's your response?
You want my arm and leg as well?
Ooh,
no,
I like that.
See, when it's 1974, you got to say, that's a good year.
Yeah.
Anything in the 20th century, that's a good year. All right, last one.
That makes sense.
Last one. You're watching some USL on an off day. Kid stands up and is blocking the TV. What do you tell him?
You make a better door than a window.
Nice. We would also accept just turn your head and I'll watch through your ears. That's the one that I use with my son more.
That's a good one. I've
That's a
never
good
heard
one.
that one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Blake, we've got a delightful Red Wolves golf polo that you can wear tucked into cargo shorts.
Yeah, and you can pair
So
Air
just
Monarchs
see,
as well.
see Madeline in the Red Wolf store, and she'll get you set up. Thank you so much for playing, and thanks for joining us. We're so glad you could be here.
No, thanks guys. I appreciate it. We love having such dedicated fans, and we'll see you guys on Sunday.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
Frishy.
you, Blake.
All right, guys.
Frishy fresh.
All right.
So I turned off the mariachi. So aren't you glad? Are you shocked I had something?
I am not. I'm just shocked that you guys haven't fired me yet as a producer.
No one wants your job.
Yeah, we've had a posting for like 3 months now, and we haven't gotten any applications.
Yeah.
So, talking about this weekend, guys. Obviously, we've mentioned North Carolina at the bottom of the league. We've got big games. If you look on the horizon, the next two after this game are Greenville and Union, Omaha. So, are you guys afraid of another trap game? What do you guys think North Carolina is going to bring?
Their one time getting a point was on the road. They have played every team within at least one goal, so they have all been close games, excluding obviously the tie to Richmond. So I expect a close game because that's what they've accomplished. But I still think we come out on top.
Yeah, they're actually a good defensive team. They don't really have a lot on attack. I think their top goal scorer has 3, and then the next one is 1. So we got to watch out for Miskik, who has been their source of the goal coming from midfield. But I think that what they're trying to do is they're either not saying they're playing for the draw, but they're playing not to lose more than trying to go out there and win, which is not what we do with Obleda Ball. I think because of that, I think Obleda Ball is going to do really well against them.
So you guys have talked about the fact that there's a possibility of a wet field. You know, Tormenta came at us with that same sort of pragmatic, we're going to sit in and defend and let you build up and find a way to expose you on the counter. They've got a lot of young guys that I assume are probably going to be guys that are fast. And so I think that can be kind of dangerous for us. As you look at the team that we're going to put out there, do you guys see any lineup changes from what we saw against Tucson? I know we've talked about our fingers crossed for Rafa, but I think you're right, Adam, that if he's in the squad, he's most likely going to come off the bench. Do you see anyone else, any other changes?
I know watching some posts that Jorge is making some progress, but I don't think he's going to be quite ready to come back. And
center back Jorge Luna.
Yeah, but with him there, I also think if I'm not mistaken, he can also play left back if we need to. So that's kind of what I'm hoping. That's still an area we still need to tighten up. I don't know if we're going to have too much change. Possibly Galindrez and Blake swap. But I got to say, I'm really liking Galindrez coming off in that second half and just pushing us through.
Yeah, I think it works well, but I do think that, Coach has kind of mentioned this before. He needs to find that number 9, and I think one of those two is going to win that battle, and I don't think either one really has fully yet, but I don't feel like Blake has done enough to justify continuing to get the vast majority of minutes in that position. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he goes out there and if he does start, gets some goals, but I think they're going to flip him this weekend. I think that's going to be the one big change you're going to see is a flip there. I do still think Blake gets in the game, but I just think that you're going to see a flip on who starts.
Well, yeah, Galindrez is starting to, he's being a little more consistent, which is what we're hoping for. So I would suspect that would be a swap. I still hope to see Tim Trilk get out there, but I don't know. I think Moramora played rather well this past weekend.
So that was one that I wanted to mention, Jeff. I think this weekend is a perfect weekend it seems obvious that Moramora is the solid number one keeper in Coach Obleda's mind. But if you look at this week, you're playing the team that's in last place. You have the defending champions coming to town the next weekend. It seems like a great week to let Moramora have a night off. He's bounced back from the game in Tormenta where he had one kind of small error that you might look at, but he was able to bounce back and get a victory against Tucson. So it's not like he's being benched because of something. But you give Troke a chance to get some minutes, knowing that at some point in the season you're going to have, a game on Saturday and then a game the following Wednesday, and you don't want him to be completely cold if he's going to go into those sorts of situations if you need to rest Moramora. So that might be something to keep an eye on and see.
And to follow up with that and go full nerd on that, looking at advanced statistics, there's a statistic called expected goals and expected goals against. And I don't want to get too deep in this, but expected goals basically says, based off the type of shot you take, how often does that type of shot score? And the expected goals for North Carolina is the lowest in the league. And the expected goals against, which basically means what type of shots are you allowing? We are allowing the lowest in the league. So we have the best defense to create shots that are not in great position versus a team that personally create shots in the worst position. Their actual expected goals is less than a goal a game. Our expected goals against is less than a goal a game. So if you're going to pick one, this might be exactly what you're talking about. We're trending in that direction. Both teams have played, 6 games at this point, so they know we get an idea of pretty good of what that defense versus offense is. So I think you're right. If he's going to put him in, this is probably the time.
So that brings us to predictions. What do you guys think is going to happen?
I'm not sure. It's either going to be 2-0 or 3-0. I'm going to stick with 2-0. I do think we're going to get another clean sheet because they do have difficulty scoring. And as we already pointed out, we have a solid defense, especially on the back two. I think are really solid. Still work done on the left. On the left, but I'm gonna stick with 2-0.
I'm gonna actually. This is kind of why I was a little shocked. I'm actually agreeing. I think it's a 2-0 victory, but I think once again it's going to be one of those where we're still on edge the whole time. Because I think it's going to be 1-0 for a long period of time, and we will get that second goal in like the last 10-15 minutes to seal it.
That'd be on par with us.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say 2-1 with some kind of us maybe getting a 2-0 lead and them scoring a goal and us sweating out trying to keep that lead for the rest of the match, but ultimately being able to hold it. But I think with the way that they play everyone close, I think the way that we play everyone close, I think this is a game that sets up well for that sort of result.
Honestly, if it's end up being 2-1, I would suspect it would be we either start from behind or they catch up, and then at the last minute we jump ahead again. That seems to be our motive. Our mode of operation is to score in that last 10 minutes. But we'll see. The most important thing is 3 points. If we don't get it, obviously every point matters. This early in, we want to be healthy. But if we don't get 3 points on this home game against the side that's struggling the most in the league, that's going to be more. It's going to hurt us more than on the table.
Well, and I think you could argue this is we already failed once, right? Because South Georgia beat us. If they don't beat us and we win that game, South Georgia's sitting at 9 points in 10 games, right? Yeah. I think you're looking at the same sort of thing. Like, this is the second team we've played that we should beat. Like, I think we're far enough in to say you should be beating Toronto, you should be beating North Carolina, you should be beating South Georgia. And if we don't, when you start playing Union and Greenville and Ford and Richmond that are the stronger teams, you got some problems.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the stretch run of the show. We're going to do some area stuff. So we want to give a shout out to the 2008 Girls Academy team heading to Greenville this weekend to play in the regional U.S. Youth Soccer Tournament. So if they can get through the regional, then they'll have an opportunity to go to the nationals. It's got some very, very talented young ladies to look forward to watching on the Lady Red Wolves one day there. So good luck to y'all. We also have a congratulations for, I'm going to say it's Guy Vivaldini, who is a young man from Macaulay School here in Chattanooga and also plays in the Chattanooga Red Wolves Academy. He is the Gatorade Boys Tennessee Soccer Player of the Year. Congrats, Guy.
Wow.
So then also really fun thing, if you're coming by the stadium, Adam's in a bit of a Sophie's choice here, guys.
Really am.
This year's Tennessee-Georgia all-star soccer game. So it's kind of area, but it's a group from Georgia and a group of players from Tennessee. I'm assuming on the boys' side, they should just call this the Tennessee Whitfield County all-star game. But they're going to be playing in CHI Memorial Stadium. I believe the ladies play at 2, and the boys will play at 4 before that 7 o'clock game with North Carolina. So if you come by for the tailgate, come eat a hot dog, run inside real quick and watch some soccer, and come back and have a second hot dog.
You could do that with us.
It really is a Sophie's choice for me because I'm on this attempt to lose weight, and I plan my whole day around having brats at the my whole week is looking forward to brats at the tailgate. So I was like, oh, I want to watch those games, but I also want bratwurst. So I haven't decided yet. I'm sorry. Both are important to me.
So we've got that going on. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I was gonna try to talk Adam into going to the game, so I have his brat. But
there you go. Yes.
Well done.
Nicely done. So also this Tuesday, Dalton Red Wolves are going to be playing at home at Lakeshore Park in Dalton, which is the home of the Dalton State Roadrunners soccer team. But I am going to be making the trip. I have not asked Adam and Jeff if they're making the trip, but if you have a Chattanooga Red Wolves season ticket, you have free admission to the Dalton Red Wolves games. It's not a long trip down I-75. They're a lot of fun to watch, and so come say hey to me. I may or may not talk to you because I'm afraid of people.
That's true. Yeah.
And then finally, Jeff, couple minutes, give us a Lady Red Wolves report. Did you make it to the game in Nashville? I know you were tweeting things about it.
We just couldn't justify going and possibly coming into work late on Monday and not quite with our full faculties with lack of sleep. So we decided we would try the streaming. And I've got to say that the streaming service for the Lady Red Wolves out of CHI Memorial is 100 times better. Our video game is a lot better. They've got a really good videographer on staff. The one in Nashville, one wide shot, and there was zero sound at all. And so it was a difficult team to play, and not having sound, I think, soured me a bit, and I was a little bit savage on Twitter. I feel a little bit bad about it because it just felt like every mistake they made, I was amplified to it because it felt like it was so slow and prodding. So I end up looking on my phone, just like I did the mariachi music. I had a thing on there for old-timey Nickelodeon music, which is music they used to play for silent movies. So I went in and I played that while we were watching, and that helped somewhat. It made it kind of feel like Keystone Cops.
Wait. So you added your own music while watching it to make it better?
Well, I thought it would make it better. It just didn't have the right tone. So it was like
it's classic Wolfman Jeff right there.
You betcha.
I'm trying to imagine Savage Wolfman, which is Adam, probably equal to Adam trying to be nice.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Well, the thing was,
he was probably like, I'm incredibly sorry to mention this. However,
well, the thing was, it was my frustration was, and I think it was a little bit of it, but I think without having the sound, it exaggerated it. They had difficulty with passing. And it would and I think part of it is Nashville's defense. And the frustrating thing is we did the same to them. So I think our defense was on point, ended up being a 0-0. but it just seemed like they couldn't get more than 2 passes strung together. And they started pulling that thing that drives you crazy, where when someone finally got the ball, they just shoot it right where they're at, and rather than try to send it to someone, or they'll pass it and there's clearly no one there in their color shirt. And it's like, oh, so I got a little frustrated. I felt up until this match, they really felt much more organized. And so something with that Nashville was doing kind of broke them down. So I don't know if it's either there was a lack of concentration and maybe fatigue, but I do think that some of it was the fact that I think Nashville was deciding they're going to park the bus and sit back and just try to focus on dismantling us.
Do you think maybe Nashville had also muted the sound at the field, so they were also frustrated because there was no sound whatsoever?
Yeah, I think
they were playing in a vortex.
You know what? There was no evidence to contradict that, so that's within the realm of possibility.
Awesome. Conspiracy Alex wins.
So I do have to mention that one of the other games, and this is one that we actually attended, but I watched the stream later over in Huntsville. So they'd had audio, but their audio was the guys in the audio in the booth running the cameras and the announcer, and it was just them just talking about pretty much not soccer the whole time, as if they didn't realize the mic was on.
Oh, that's so great.
And so I'm not sure which one. So we look like absolute pros from the Chattanooga Lady Red Wolves. So which we've got a good team that Gretchen's assembled. So, but I have to say how the others are approaching their streaming. We're looking very good in comparison.
Very Nisa-esque.
So, moving on, we've got Euro 2020 overreactions, guys. We've watched the first few matches of the tournament. What's your hot take? What are your overreactions?
So impressed with France, like Alex said he would. So impressed with Italy. That kind of came out of nowhere, but I still think that England and Portugal are going to be showing pretty strong.
Adam.
So, I think the biggest reaction is relief from what happened on the field, and we are thankful that thankful for what the ultimate outcome of that was. So that's probably the biggest thing, because it's kind of a wake up call. But on the actual field of play, I think I'm following Scotland. And that game was the epitome of stats don't always tell what's happening. Because if you were to read just the statistics on that game, you would go, man, Scotland won this game, right? 19 shots to 10, 58% possession, 471 passes to 348. Like, everything's there except for, the 2 goals and the terrible goaltending that allowed the guy to kick it over his head. But I'm enjoying it. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow and watching the Scotland-England game at 3:00. I may or may not have set my schedule to be able to do that.
Hey, Adam, did you ever in your years as a goalkeeper get one from distance chipped over you?
No, because I was usually asleep on the line. Our team was really good.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So, all right, one other quick one. I was just, big soccer stuff happening this weekend. MLS was on a bit of a break, but they're coming back. There's USL Championship. There's other USL League One games. There's, of course, the Euro stuff. What is one non-Red Wolves game that you're going to want to check out this weekend?
Well, are we counting tomorrow's game as this weekend? Because if so, I've already given you mine.
Okay. Adam eating some haggis and watching Scotland. Jeff, you got one?
I was going to say Portugal and Germany, and that should be a good match. That's on Saturday. Lady Red Wolves
B versus Germany.
Yeah, against Chelsea B. So we'll see how that goes. The other thing is the Lady Red Wolves are on the road. They are to Peachtree City MOBA, who we just beat a week ago, but they're playing at the exact same time as the men's team. So it's one of those I'm going to have to watch after the fact.
Okay. So By the way, the B for Chelsea B stands for bite, apparently. The game that I'm looking forward to, Portland Timbers coming back from their layoff, and they will be playing Kansas City Sporting KC. So I'm excited about that one. It's going to be a late start, so it'll be after we do some stuff with the father-in-law for Father's Day, and I'll be able to check that out. So that leaves us the Biggleswade report.
Ooh, nice.
So it's a quick one, but I was talking about the fact that we didn't have as much Biggleswade Town or Biggleswade FC news, but they have both this week let loose their preseason fixtures. So very exciting. Biggleswade Town hosting two professional sides, Oxford United and Cambridge United, are both going to be coming to play there. That's very exciting. We still got the ball. It's back here in the background. See, there's the Biggleswade ball. And then also a quick recommendation. If you're on Biggleswade United on YouTube here or on a Twitch stream, they have a podcast right now that they're doing called One Club United. So if you're interested in Euro reactions that are from a European perspective, our good friend who joined us over the Christmas Festivus episode, Joshua Roberts-Law, is one of the hosts and a few of the other social media people for Biggleswade United. Go check that out. And that's all the Biggleswade reporting I have. Me in full screen, that's terrifying.
Agreed. That's why I kept it up there.
So I put a warning out to the team as we know, Sunday they're going to be debuting the big screen. I was going to ask Blake if they've been like streaming Euro games on it during practices, but I told them no close-ups of us because the world is just not ready for this at that size.
That seems like a good choice.
We might literally be more than they can handle.
How'd you break the big screen? We put the soccer chat guys on it, and it just exploded.
Melted.
All right. Well, anybody else have anything else to say?
All I have to say is bye.
Bye.